start to realize there's a lot of things that happen that will push you back, but eventually you have the time to come back from it and recover from it.
As we saw in the past year, life is unpredictable. Life will throw anything at you, sometimes very weird, sometimes very interesting. In interesting ways, it will try to put you down or to bring you up. You don't know. It's a roller coaster.
Planning ahead, following a plan, drawing up a map of how you want your life to go doesn't make any sense, because that's not how life is. Life is unpredictable. You really have to live in the moment, and that really helps me tremendously with my anxiety. I'm doing really great right now.
So I think going back to that idea of what humans are really wired for. So we love predictability and certainty. And one of the things that I think is most important to remind ourselves during this time of instability is really focusing on what's in our control. So the idea of kind of checking in with yourself, our self-care and our habits are something that is within our control. I think our lifestyle factors are often not emphasized enough. There's such an importance that goes along with sleep, physical activity, nutrition. That's something that's really, really important to kind of focus on. And routine is incredibly important during this time.
This is going to sound really kind of basic, okay? But it's so impactful. So one of the things to try to maintain good mental health is to keep a routine. And keep a routine, but also make sure to meet your basic needs. So what I mean by that is your sleep, trying to keep it regular. So 8 to, I think it's 7 to 9 hours. But not just that, trying to go to bed at a regular time every single night. And then for meals, because when we have anxiety, right? Some people will stop eating or they'll overeat. But the key is to just keep eating regularly, because our bodies need that fuel. So those two things really, like appetite and sleep, being regular with those two things makes such a difference. If you're someone who's prone to anxiety, if you're not eating well regularly, if you're not sleeping as much as you should, it's going to make your anxiety worse. You're going to have a lot less motivation. So that's why I'm always that has to be number one. And trying to find a way to detach yourself from the home, in the sense that, again, if we're always inside, siblings, family members, get out, go for a walk, 30 minutes, 5 minutes even, just to create separations.
I had a 2-month period of just pure laziness and no physical activity whatsoever. I didn't go out at all, not even for walks or anything. And then since gyms were closed, of course you can't work out in a gym. And so I opted to home workouts. So body weight, and I have 2 dumbbells, that's it. But there's a lot you can do there. And I think it really helped work my mind creatively and worked my body. Because when you don't have a lot, you got to make do with what you have. But yeah, I think working out was really what kept me together, I guess. And also, it helped me feel better about myself, physically and health-wise. I felt a lot healthier. I felt a lot less lazy. I think if you have a schedule there, it really helps to stay productive and keep your life together. and not feel like every day is wasted.
So, how I made my quarantine better was, I'd say most of the time, was being active. I was really active during quarantine, more active than I was during like normal times, to be honest. I used to go on runs every 3 days. I used to work out every day.
So I had to find a way to make myself busy, take a break from school. So I tried to allocate at least an hour or two per day on physical activities. So that means like it could be biking outside or taking a walk or a jog or any of that. Just some time to myself. And obviously meditation also helped me.
I was kind of losing a grip of my daily schedule, of my routine. I was kind of losing control of where I wanted to go with my studies and my extracurriculars and a lot of different things. And semester one was quite hard. But little by little, I started picking up and I started exploring other things that I kind of liked during, that I couldn't necessarily do in school. And I started spending more time on those. And then slowly I started picking up my schoolwork a bit more.
So I think one of the most important things with low mood, again, going back to that idea of focusing on routine, super, super important. But I think also as humans, we're hardwired to seek social connection, like we really are. So I think it's important to, as much as possible, try to either plan any type of socialization, obviously within kind of the safety guidelines, but any type of socialization, whether or not that's face-to-face or whether or not it's using technology. I think as much as possible, having that human connection is really important for our mental health. So planning things and getting creative. I think one of the things that's been really interesting is just how much we've kind of stripped away and gone back to a simple way of living. So we have to get creative with ways that we're spending our free time. And I think kind of leaning into that and learning a little bit more about the types of activities that you enjoy, both on your own as well as with your family. I think that's a really important thing to focus on.
Although I am proud of myself in the past year, a few things that I am proud of is I survived. I'm still up and I'm still grinding in my own way, going through it, working on myself as much as I can. I've also used this time to actually work on a few passions that I have. I'm really into music, and one of my dreams is to become a singer-songwriter.
Vraiment, moi, ma façon de surmonter tout ça, toutes ces mauvaises situations, ce mauvais état d'esprit, moi, c'était en m'occupant, en voyant des amis, en jouant au basket. J'ai beaucoup joué au basket l'été passé. J'allais au parc Kent, un parc qui est proche de chez moi, à côté des neiges. Puis c'est ça, j'allais jouer au basket, j'allais jouer avec des gens, je parlais avec des gens, j'ai socialisé. C'est ça c'est ma façon vraiment qui m'a aidé pour moi de surmonter vraiment mes problèmes qui se passaient dans ma vie personnelle. Moi, c'est comme ça que j'ai surmonté la pandémie, je pense.
J'ai donc décidé de mieux préoccuper mon temps. J'ai d'abord commencé en faisant une liste de choses que j'ai toujours voulu faire. J'ai mis dans la liste par exemple, le nom d'une pièce que j'ai toujours voulu apprendre, des trucs pour lesquels je voulais auditionner ou m'impliquer, etc. Et là, je suis passée à l'action. J'ai fait des auditions, j'ai contacté des gens, etc. Pas tout était un succès, mais certains ont porté fruit et je suis vraiment contente. J'ai notamment eu la chance de participer à une émission de télé. C'était une des meilleures expériences que j'ai vécues à date. Et j'ai pu rencontrer des gens extraordinaires, différents et vraiment inspirants de leur propre manière. C'est ça qui m'a vraiment donné un élan pour continuer à m'impliquer dans mon quotidien, même lorsqu'on est retourné à l'école cette année scolaire.
I'm in a place where I'm very happy with myself. I'm much more confident than the me pre-pandemic. And overall, I'm just more happy with where I am. And I think it has to do with spending so much time with myself over the past year. I haven't been able to see many of my friends. because of the pandemic. So most of this time I spent trying out new things, new hobbies. I tried crafting things, I tried sewing things, I tried doing art, playing guitar, learning a new instrument, you know. So I discovered a lot of new interests, and I think that's what made me more comfortable with myself too, because I know now what I like and what I don't like. This is from a person who is privileged enough to have a roof over my head the entire time. I never had to worry about money, about food during the entire year of the pandemic. So I'm very grateful for that. And I barely struggled with anything. I mean, I was bored a lot. I think everybody was. We all wanted to see our friends. We all wanted to party again, to go to a concert, to go to a restaurant even. But I think I really focused on the positive side. I really worked on myself a lot. I started working out a lot more last summer. I started reading and exploring things that I normally wouldn't take the time out of my day to do.
And that's actually how I started really doing TikTok, how I started to really invest my time into that. And I'm very happy with my decision to do so, because I feel like what I was able to do with this is that I was able to actually build something for myself, build something that I enjoy. I was able to talk to people. I was able to just create content based on what I like in the moment. There are no rules. There are no, you have to do this, this, this. You do whatever pleases you at the moment, and I think that that's absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy that I was able to take this time to build something that I actually enjoy doing.
Even though everything is very bumpy, I think it still helped me realize what I truly want to be, because I'm either very low or having a huge rush of motivation, and that like switches every week. But on every other week, when I did have a rush of motivation, I started doing things with my life. Like I actually, for the first time in my life, started being ambitious and actually working towards something. Because all my life I've been told I have a lot of potential. I've seen that I have a lot of potential, but I never acted on it. I never did anything. But during this pandemic, it was more like I had this mentality where I'm home all day anyway. Why am I not doing something with my life? Which can also be seen from a very toxic point of view, but it's what helped me actually do stuff during those rushes of motivation. It also hurt me when I was down in the dumps and not doing anything with my time or day or week. But it also helped me realize that if I actually want to do something, it's not that hard to take a step forward. So starting from the second semester, I joined a lot of clubs. I think I'm in 5 clubs right now. I'm the exec of 2 of them. And I also realized that I want to be a lawyer, which is not something I've ever thought of in my life. And it's also something that is currently out of my reach. One, because of my grades, also because I just started working towards it a month ago. But I already have a mentor from McGill with the Women of Color conference mentorship. And
also, one of the things that's really important to focus on is the temporary nature of this situation. And I know for many people, myself included, it feels like it's been going on forever. And I think really in terms of shifting our attitude to focus on the fact that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and focusing on the fact that this is a temporary time in the big picture of life, can be really helpful as well, because I know that it can be very discouraging, with how long it's been drawn on for.
So if there is any advice that I could give, I would tell people who are in the same position as me to be patient. Do not set expectations too high. about certain restrictions being lifted or planning things to do after the pandemic, just so we can limit the amount of disappointment that we could possibly have. Just live in the moment, and if you're privileged enough to not have to worry about your next meal or being warm during this winter, then focus on your mental health, focus on your alone time and how that could help you physically and mentally and emotionally, and know that we are all in this together. Everybody is willing to help, so don't ever feel afraid to speak out and ask for advice, ask for somebody to listen to, make friends online. This is the best thing we can do right now to socialize. Make as many friends as you can online.
As crazy as it is to say, like for a year that's like been completely different, like, you know, one for the books for sure. Like, I don't think COVID affected me like that much. That much being like, you know, I've always been like a homebody in some kind of way. Like, I make music, I work on my projects, you know, like when I go out, like I'm like kind of like that guy that like is thinking in his head like, oh, I could have stayed home and worked on something. And like COVID kind of like put a break on everything in a way that like really allowed me to do that. So yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. I mean, it has affected me obviously, like, you know, not being able to see my friends as much, not being able to, you know, I'm an artist, I forgot to mention that, but like, you know, not being able to perform and not being able to like, you know, collaborate as much as I used to. So that's one thing.
I think it's really actually very interesting. I think it's completely normal for a portion of people to thrive during this time. We talk about personality styles, and we have introverted people, we have extroverted, we have ambiverts. But I think in general, and what I've really seen with youth, you know, pre-COVID time, there's a lot of pressure that comes along with socializing, you know. So before all of this, that pressure of having to be as busy as possible and to have our weekends completely scheduled and to always have plans, and that creates so much pressure. I think we all can kind of relate to that idea of having plans, but really at our core wanting to stay home and just relax. And COVID has kind of forced us to constantly have a reason to do so, to stay home and to recharge our batteries. So I think it's alleviated some of that social pressure. Again, kind of push people to get more comfortable with staying alone and focusing on ourselves. I've actually seen a big portion of clients thrive, you know, during this time because they're able to recharge their batteries in that way. And again, going back to that idea that because there's been such a reduction in activities that we can do, it's really stripped away and forced us to get creative, enjoy simpler activities, and reflect on our self-care habits.
And I think that anybody that does project that just spends their free time on their own, building something that interests them, investing time towards something that is passionate to them, I think that that's really beautiful. I think that that's really courageous, that's really amazing, and big shout out to anybody who is just working on personal projects that make them really happy.
And then I decided to launch Gen Z. So Gen Z was a passion project for me.
And like all of this happened during COVID. Like we incorporated during this time. We booked this space.
And I started a new project called The Millennia.